Phil Spencer takes full responsibility for Redfall's poor release.
So talking to the Kind of Funny Xcast, Spencer said that he is, quote, upset with myself and that he's going to take full responsibility for launching a game that needs to be great. While he acknowledged the disappointment that comes from a $70 game arriving in the condition Redfall has, he also offered support for the game's developers Arcane Austin, noting that he will not push against the creative aspirations of our teams. When asked for his initial response to the launch of Redfall, which dropped as an Xbox console exclusive this week, Spencer said, quote, "There's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community and just kind of watch the community lose confidence and be disappointed. Quote, I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself. I kind of revisit our process. I think back to the announcement of 60 frames per second. Then we weren't shipping 60 frames per second. That was our punch in the chin, rightfully, a couple weeks ago. While Spencer admitted that the quote, the critical response was not what we wanted, he maintained a somewhat defensive attitude for his team at Xbox Game Studios. One thing I'll fight is the quote, the idea of what went wrong. There's clearly quality and execution things we could do, but one thing I won't do is push against the creative aspirations of our teams. I'm a huge supporter of Arcane Austin. Their track record is awesome. I love a lot of the great games they built. This is one where the team didn't hit their own internal goals, when it launched. I think it's maybe a little simplistic to just say, hey, if you would have just delayed it 3 months, the core creative of the game would have delivered on something that was different to what it was. As for Redfall's future, Spencer said the Xbox, Bethesda, and Arcane Austin intend to continue working on improving the game, starting with the promised 60 frames per second patch. The team at Arcane is taking their near-term feedback while we're still working on the 60 FPS. We have a good timeline for that. We're committed to getting that done. And we're going to continue to work the game. We've shown a commitment to games like Sea of Thieves and Grounded to continue and go and build games. But I also know these games are $70, and I'm going to take full responsibility for launching a game that needs to be great. So kudos to Phil Spencer for just taking it on the chin, owning it, being transparent in this interview, like on multiple things, like with the 12-month time period, Starfield needing to be great, the acquisition, just... This is why I've been a fan of his since he took over Xbox, because he just continues. Yep. Well, yes, the games that come out may not be hits or misses. That's not his fault. Yes, he could probably put his foot down more on some things, but like he said, he doesn't want to get in the way of the creative aspirations of his teams. So he is letting them be themselves, and he's going to take his lumps, because he knows that you only have anywhere to go but up after this. If you take your growing pains now, you can reap the benefits later when you do make great games and they start to come out at a more consistent clip. So kudos to him. Like I said, he just continues to say and do the right things, and be someone for the gaming community. Yeah, and Amy makes a good point. Appreciate the honesty that he is here. He's being transparent as far as he can and everything. Yeah. And, I look at this, in the age of, YouTube apologies from creators and different things and all of that. It didn't come off as just lip service. He is a gamer. Statement. Yeah, a corporate statement. He's a gamer himself. He wants games to be great. And I even thought of it this way. It's like, you would never see PlayStation do this. No. You would never. Like, the game we don't talk about, what did the developers do like last year? And like when the game didn't succeed, it's like they blamed us. They blamed us, the gamers. And it's like, bro, no, that's not how it works. Sorry. Yeah. Like Jim Ryan would never come onto a show and talk like that, and there was a point in the conversation on the Xcast, which I highly suggest y'all go watch this episode. It's a really, really good episode. I've got through a good bit of it. Gary Whitta was on there, and he was talking about, he was like, he's like, I have to commend Phil Spencer. He's like, I know he's on this one. He's like, but when I was doing the Animal Crossing show that he like had people come on and everything and interview, he's like, Halo Infinite just got delayed and I was about to have Phil on. He was like, and I was totally expecting,
to get a call from Xbox saying, hey, Phil's not going to be on and everything because of this. He's like, Phil still showed up, answered all the hard questions when everybody was like, gnashing teeth, wrenching clothes and all of that. And that just shows that he's a stand-up guy. To this point, though, why, like, we have to look at why are these games coming out broken? Why do we continually, it's not just an Xbox thing. Yeah. Fallen Order has its issues on PC.
Survivor.
Survivor, and we saw Forspoken come out broken. We've seen so many games in the last
part 1 on PC was pretty much unplayable.
Yeah, it's like the whole reason it was getting launched didn't work. So it's like, why do we see this continually happening? Is it to meet a deadline for stockholders? Is it to be able to hit certain quarterly quotas? Like, what is going on? Because you burn the gaming industry, not just the people that get the games for free, the ones that talk about it and they're at all these different places, but you burn Joe Schmo when he can buy one game a whole year. It's getting harder to pay for things. Eggs are like $50 million right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, you burn Joe Schmo. He was looking forward to Redfall, and it's like, oh, sorry, it cost $70. It's my fault.
Yeah. Now,
it's my fault.
With that, again, with the upside being, I'm not justifying, because there are some people who can't do Game Pass or don't have the ability to do internet, but there is it did launch day 1 on Game Pass, so that, all you're wasting is bandwidth speed, but still the fact remains, like, people who like the physical games or don't have the internet capabilities and need to buy it physical, like, you're out $70 because you're not going to get that back at my old stomping ground, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, we can fix the game, we can patch it, all of these things, and get it to where it should be and all of that. We've seen it time and time again, and I'm glad for those games, but it's like, what can be put into place? And he's talking about, going back to the processes, seeing all of this. And it's like, I hate seeing games come out and they're broken when they're an interesting idea that's like totally different. And Gary talks about this. He's like, it's not a good thing when a game comes out that's a different take, something new, and it just bombs. He's like, it's not a good thing because then people want to go to their formulas. They want to go to the things that work and just put out sequels. And that's why we get so much watered down junk that's just the same over and over. And it's like, I don't revel in something doing bad. And I know we talk about, games is like, man, this is not going to go well, and then it just doesn't go well. And it's like, okay, like, how can we prevent this continuing to happen? And, where are you getting your information as well? I think that's also another thing. It's like, are you listening to the right people? Are they just saying it to be able to get access to games and getting previews and all of that kind of stuff? I think, it's kind of an industry thing that needs to be kind of looked over and be like, hey, we need to stop just saying, hey, this is good, this is good, this is good. And then the consumer gets hurt, because that's not right at all. I don't know,
because what's going to happen when the consumer is burned too many times and stops buying your games that come out, no matter if it's a new IP or a sequel to a game that was actually decent, you're going to lose money and you're not going to make as much as much on your ROI or much for your quarterly earnings, and that's going to tick off the investors, and they're going to be like, we're going to take our money back, and that means you have to do a bunch of layoffs, downsizing, and then you get hurt even worse in the quality department.
Yeah. So I think, yes, to Phil's point, there needs to be a look at the process. I don't think punishing the developers on their creative vision is the way, but it's like, do things need to incubate longer? Do you need to stop giving, we're going to release stuff 12 months from now? Stop giving timelines until it is like polished and prim and proper. Like it needs to be like a debutante ball. Like, it needs to be ready to go. You got your bows on, you got your flower dress on, you got your big parasail. You're ready to go. It's not putting a pig in a dress and putting some lipstick on it. You actually got something ready to show, and it's the quality over quantity, like Amy's saying. Amy also said, but if people buy stuff regardless of Hurry's production, are these studios really suffering? And no, they're not. And
no. So here's my caveat. Now, if it's a single player story game like Survivor, right? Probably not going to survive the long run because they're going to make their money at launch, or at least within the first 2 weeks. Now, games that are multiplayer or live service, yes, because while they do rival on the revenue, they also put their money in? Concurrent player base, and because people who continue to play the game will buy more stuff in game, spend real world currency to keep the funding of that game going, and if the concurrent player base drop, they're not earning as much money back, and they're going to consider that a failure.